There can be only one.
Welcome to the Milser Mike channel. We all know that 11/11 this year is the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I, and there will be many videos out there, as well as a huge ceremony at the National World War I Museum here in Kansas City commemorating the event. So I'll just keep to my small area on YouTube and make a KSGunGuy type if I could choose only one video with the sidearms of the Great War. To start with, I'll only consider the ones that I own and have shot, so pistols like the Gusenti will not be considered. Also, some of these may be post-Great War vintage handguns, although they were identical to the ones used during the war. I'll roughly go NCAA bracket style with revolvers on one side and semi-autos on the other. With the exception of the Nagant revolver, I've done videos on all these handguns previously. To start with, we'll have the equivalent of a play-in game to take on the number 1 seed revolver, the Webley Mark VI, with the 1895 Nagant revolver used by Russia going against the model 1892 Lebel revolver used by France. This is really no contest, as the Nagant is by far the worst handgun on here. While it has the fairly neat gas seal system to get more oomph from the 7.62x38R cartridge, it still has a single loading gate, whereas the Lebel cylinder swings out and can eject all the brass at once. Not to mention loading is much faster. Both revolvers have horrendous double-action pulls, and both have weak cartridges compared to the rest of the revolvers and pistols here, but the Lebel is by far superior to the Nagant. The next competition will pit the two M1917 American revolvers by Colt and Smith & Wesson against each other in the 2 versus 3 seed. While at the time Colt had a more prestigious name, I'll give the nod to the Smith & Wesson revolver. The M1917 was meant to use moon clips to hold the 45 ACP cartridge. The Colt has to have the moon clips, whereas the Smith & Wesson had a small shoulder milled into the cylinder to be able to individually load and shoot without using moon clips. This, along with the Smith weighing noticeably less than the Colt, gives it the nod. For the 2 versus the 3 on the semi-auto side, we have the Colt M1911 versus the Steyr-Hahn M1912. Some may wonder why the 1911 is not the top seed on the side, and honestly I just wanted to have these two pistols side by side, as it's been said that the Steyr-Hahn is what you would get if you asked Picasso to paint a picture of the 1911. While the Steyr-Hahn has a capable round that is similar in power to the 38 ACP, and this pistol ran flawless for me when I took it out earlier this year, it doesn't stand a chance against the venerable 1911. The Steyr-Hahn is a fixed magazine and stripper clip fed, while I can see dirt and mud being a problem, as you cannot change out a magazine here. It is hard to argue against the 1911, which has stood the test of time. Since I only have 3 semi-autos, the P08 Luger gets a bye here. On the revolver side, we have the winner of the play-in, the 1892 Lebel versus the Webley Mark VI. Again, this is no contest, as the 455 Webley round and its knockdown power over the puny 8mm round of the Lebel is enough to sink it alone. Plus, if you consider the conditions of the Great War, I'd rather have a top-break revolver over a swinging cylinder. The Webley ejects its spent casings in the same motion as opening up the revolver, making one less step when trying to quickly reload. Our final 4 are the Webley Mark VI versus the Smith & Wesson M1917, and the P08 Luger versus the M1911. And here the decisions get a little less cut and dry. In the Webley versus the Smith, both the revolvers have their ups. With the 45 ACP being more powerful than the 455 Webley, the Smith starts out with an advantage, but having to use moon clips, and even with the Smith you cannot eject spent casings all at once like you can when they connected with the clips. And the top break being much quicker than the swinging cylinder to reload, at least for me, I'll have to give the nod to the Webley. When it comes to the P08 Luger versus the M1911, if they both work smoothly, this is a close contest. The Luger is a better shooter, but the M1911 has a bigger round. This is the age-old 9mm versus 45 ACP, and if you're an officer raiding another trench, .45 ACP ball has much more stopping power than the 9mm ball ammo. Plus, the 1911 is less complex and has fewer places for dirt to get in. The 1911 is also less picky with ammo than the Luger. Keep in mind, a .45 ACP Luger was offered for consideration in the United States trials, but the ammo had to be far too consistent to be considered for mass production. The P08 was replaced in the late 30s by the P38, and the 1911 wasn't replaced until 1990, so it proved to be a much longer lasting design. So our final is the Webley versus the 1911. This brings up many classic arguments, mainly semi-auto versus revolver. Faster loading and reloading, a more powerful cartridge, a hell of a lot better trigger, more rounds on tap, the 1911 should take this hands down. But I'll try to look at this without the hindsight for a moment, and if you had to storm the enemy trenches in World War I think I'd rather have the reliability of the Webley. With a revolver you can get rid of dirt easier, and the Webley was just damn near indestructible. So if I could only have one to take into the trenches of World War I would choose the Webley Mark VI. If you're watching this in the fall of 2018, please remember my SKS giveaway to help out C-Max's family as he passed away here 3 weeks ago. One entry per $10 donation on the GoFundMe page, and make sure you email a snapshot of the receipt to milsurpcollectormike@gmail.com. Please be aware of where your elected officials and the groups who claim to represent you stand on the Second Amendment. Please join the GOA and your state's organizations. Finally, if you like what you see, please check out my other videos, comment, like, subscribe, and check out my Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and who I support on Patreon. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a great day.